The following podcast, I sat down with Estee Weingarten. She is running a program called The Comfort Zone, which is specifically for women who are living with people, their husbands specifically, are dealing with addiction. So she's dealing with issues of Al-Anon and codependency. This happens to be one of my favorite topics, and we got really, really deeply in the zone, in the comfort zone. And what she's doing is incredible. I'm always amazed by what people do when they put their mind to it. It's incredibly inspiring. And we went on and on. It was very long. I'm sorry. You could put it on double time if you want. But it was an absolutely wonderful conversation. I hope you enjoy. Remember to like, follow, subscribe, and have a great day.
Hello and welcome to the Brainstorm podcast. And now, your host, Sonny Perlman.
We're alive. Okay. Thank you for coming.
My pleasure. I'm
Long
happy to be
time
here.
in coming.
I'm happy to be here, and also I love watching your podcast, so I'm happy for anyone that will hopefully get to your podcast now that I'm on.
Oh, nice. Okay. First of all, not to toot my own horn, but why do you love watching my podcast? Because this is for my own research.
Okay, amazing. It's funny, and I love things that are light, being that life can be so serious and hard and overwhelming. A bit of laughter goes a long way. And so it's entertaining, it's funny, it's recovery-based, it's brilliant. And so I think it's one of the only podcasts I actually last through.
Okay. I probably shouldn't ask that question because now I'm completely embarrassed that I did. But I couldn't stop myself. By the way, this is the best compliment because I think my goal in life is to try to take incredibly difficult ideas for myself and for other people and to bring them down to where we all could digest them.
Absolutely.
So they're like my favorite person, my favorite explainer of the Torah is Rashi. Like he'll take an idea that's incredibly complex and then just put it into 3 words. And you're like, oh, I get it. So it's like, if we could couch some really difficult stuff into some humor and to more lightness and to explain it in the most simple way that anybody could understand it, we could all make it through life a lot better.
Exactly. And it's so much more inclusive in a way because I don't have to stop what I'm doing. I don't have to sit down and concentrate. I hear it and I can get it and understand it and take what I like and leave the rest.
Right. Also, it's my favorite, Norm Macdonald. I have his book here, Normisms. He says nobody likes a smart person. He says
I do want to say that I have a very low tolerance for stupid people.
Yeah, no, but nobody wants someone to be smarter than them. Just like equal with them, because it's like the goody. You're like, okay, like
Enough.
So I will tell you that I was 9.5 years married when my wife turned to me and said, "You're really smart." Like it took a
9.5 years.
long
I'm
time.
sorry.
It took a long time to recognize. I don't love the idea of sounding smart, even though it seems impressive. I like the idea of being
Down
able to
to
talk
earth.
to people. Anyway, you doing the comfort zone.
Yes.
Okay. People out there have no idea what the comfort zone is. So if I want to get it right in the beginning, just in case people don't make it through the whole podcast.
Okay.
What is the comfort zone? This is why I invited you on, because I'm loving what you're doing. And the story is that you reached out a long time ago and I got busy. And then someone reminded me of the awesome work you're doing. And I immediately called you and because I really wanted to talk about this topic and what you're doing. And I think it's beyond important. So anybody out there, come and support this. So tell us, what is the comfort zone for starters?
Okay. So the Comfort Zone is an organization that I started together with a friend for women that are impacted by their spouse's addiction only. And I'm going to clarify that. For someone that is struggling with a child, struggling with addiction, I see you, I feel you, and yet this is not the right place. And we'll go back soon why I feel it's so different when it comes to a spouse than a child or a parent. It's just a different relationship. But the comfort zone is a place for women that are impacted by a spouse's addiction to find community, to find strength, to find hope, and to find stability in their life, whether the addict is still acting out or not. It's to find her ground. It's to find her foundation, who she is. Could be she was living through her spouse, living through her addict for so long, and she has forgotten what she likes and what she doesn't like and who she is and who she's not, and that really she's not an angry person. She's just constantly triggered or reacting to stuff. And it's really to love those women until they learn to love themselves.
Right up my alley. Okay, right up my alley. This is just on a technical level. You're meeting in person. You're meeting online. How is it working?
So we have a lot of different activities and things that are happening within our community, and so we try to do a bit of everything. So the simplest thing is we have a WhatsApp chat every day with daily literature that we'll post, inviting the women to share on the readings, share on their recovery steps, post questions that will trigger their recovery, while it is still a chat that anybody that's struggling or needs a listening ear can come to that chat, and it's available for anyone and everyone. We have meetings, Al-Anon based, like 12 steps. So it's the same idea. Meetings twice a week.
What is Al-Anon, just for anybody who doesn't know?
Okay, Al-Anon is a 12-step program for anyone that's impacted by someone else's addiction. So technically, you're not the one struggling with an addiction like drugs, alcohol, sex, gambling, but you're living with someone else that is.
Right.
And
I think Al-Anon actually stands for Alcoholics Anonymous.
It is, but Al-Anon has picked up the universal meeting for all the Anons. Like Gamanon, very small meeting. Narcotics doesn't exist anymore. So Al-Anon sort of became the mother meeting for anyone that's living with any other, anyone else living with an addiction, struggling with an addiction.
And they're dealing what we call codependency. Is
yes, very much so. And yes, it's different than CODA meetings. It's more program learning how to live, not controlling others, not fixing others, not getting into their mess. It's different than CODA recovery. I think there are plenty of people that are codependent and yet don't live with addicts that need Codependency Anonymous, but there aren't that many non-codependent that don't live with addicts. Does that make sense?
Do you not? Yeah,
you will find people in Al-Anon that are codependent, but you will find people in CODA, which is for codependency, that are not necessarily living with addicts. They're still codependent.
Gotcha. Right. So could you, what is codependence? What is, just on a basic, I have some really interesting thoughts on codependency, but which I'll definitely share, but I'm like, is there a way in one or two sentences that you could explain kind of what codependency is? It's a confusing
If I do it very basic for like dummies.
For me.
People pleasing, living through others, only living and being okay if you're okay. That means if you're having a hard day, I've lost myself. I'm already having a hard day. If you're anxious, I'm becoming anxious. If you're angry, I'm raising my voice. And so I'm not a person on my own with my own feelings, knowings, values, or anything. My entire self-worth is intertwined with yours.
Right. Well, the way I say it in words, which tell me if this is controversial in a sense because it seems accusatory. I don't think it is. An alcoholic is using alcohol to fill themselves, and a codependent is using a person to fill themselves. So your addiction is a person. You're addicted
Absolutely.
to a person.
And what people like to also say is control.
What do you mean control? Isn't everything control?
No, right. But meaning codependency is you're using another person to fill up your cup, right? They're using alcohol, you're using another person to fill up your cup, right? And so that's codependency. But when you're going back to Al-Anon, right? Some people will say, I'm not codependent. Okay, cool. So you don't have a person problem, but you have a control problem.
And what does it mean? Like a
Control. You're telling your addict when to be home, not to use the car, how to spend his money, what to wear, where to meet.
Why would you tell him all that?
Because you have the illusion that he's going to listen or do it as you want. And so.
And then when he does it, then what?
Then your life will be good.
That's an addiction problem. Meaning the control problem flips around. What I'm saying is like.
Into a person problem.
Right. So you say you're controlling.
Yeah.
It's the same as I'm going to change up my dose, how much alcohol I drink, how much drugs I use, because then everything will be all right and I'll fix myself.
Yeah.
The way a codependent would act is if I could make this person be a certain way, if I could change them,
this person,
then I'm better.
1000%.
Then I'm better. So it's the control. Okay, I guess it's control is just another way to explain almost the same thing.
Yeah, it is. It's say it however it is. Point is, I'm not going too far off from, the meetings and stuff that we're talking about, the comfort zone. Point is that I know I'm going to get beaten up for this, but you have a problem. And so it's not all the addict's problem.
It's funny that this is something people get upset about.
Absolutely.
Because I see it a lot because
every day I get calls, but I'm not the addict. Why am I
could I
doing
tell you
a 12
something?
step?
I'll tell you something. This is embarrassing. I'll tell you something that I advise some people, and it relates to this. I don't know why I'm saying this, but this is.
Just listen.
I've said stupider things. If I have someone who's married and it looks like their marriage is really rocky and they're in addiction, I will often say it is really dangerous for you to be going to rehab right now. And the reason is because the second you go to rehab, if you guys do get divorced, you're the problem, she's not the problem. Or he's the or she's the problem and you're not me. The second you're identified as the problem, the other person's like, it's not my problem anymore. And not only is that true, the courts say the same thing. In almost every single relationship where you have an addict, you have someone on the other side, which we'll talk about. The other side is the codependent who's also struggling and has their own issues. But the second you're identified as an addict, you're the problem. And the other person can say, I'm not a problem. If this person would just get better, my life is better. And I could just fix myself.
That's part of their denial.
Right.
And part of the addiction to try different ways of controlling
but the
and
denial is
manipulating
backed up by
to
the
get
system.
different.
It's backed up by the system, by people, by the courts, by everybody, which is shocking to me. But it's not so shocking because it's an invisible illness.
Yes.
Invisible to the people who are doing it and the people who are suffering from it, and definitely invisible for everybody else.
It's I want to say that a lot of women, and I see it all the time, they walk into Al-Anon, okay? And I'm going to talk about Al-Anon because that's the experience I know. I didn't do CODA recovery work. I did Al-Anon recovery work. I've worked my steps. I've had a sponsor. I sponsor other women. So I'm going to talk Al-Anon because that's the language I understand.
Right.
When you come into a room because there is someone in your life that is struggling with addictions and your life has become an unmanageable mess. Your life has become insane. And chances are you thought you can fix this problem, but you really can't. Like when, I want to say when addiction hit the fan in our home, I was used to being able to fix everything I put my hands on. Until that was something I could not fix. I didn't know how to go through it. I didn't know how to go around it. I didn't know how to attack it. And I'd slap it from one side, I'd be slapped on the other side. It was like this mess. And so many people walk into Al-Anon thinking, okay, I'm going to go to this program. They're going to tell me what to do with my spouse, son, parent, sibling, whatever. And then I'm going to fix him and I'm going to come home. Right?
Right.
And they come to the program and they're like, oh my gosh, it's not about him. Let him do his own work. It's about me. Oh my gosh, the way I'm acting is insane. My expectations are turning into resentments. My, lack of boundaries are not clear. My communication skills are completely off, right? And so it's looking yourself in the mirror and saying, how am I contributing to this mess? And then taking the parts that you're contributing and say, can I clean up that mess so that every day I wake up and I ask, Hashem, help me stay in my lane so that no matter what happens on the other person's end, my lane is clean. I'm respectful, I am kind, I'm gracious, I'm giving and understanding, whatever it is that you decide. Because that's what I have responsibility over. Like, just because someone else is acting like X, Y, and Z doesn't give me permission to react in a way.
Right. Is there a way to get better in middle of that chaos? Like ourselves? Like, meaning...
Yeah, that's the work.
This person, is it
That's
possible?
the work.
Okay.
Of course it is. That's the work when you go to meetings and you find women, men, it doesn't matter. Al-Anon meetings are mixed, that understand you, that are walking through the same hell, that all of a sudden all your stories have meaning and you're sitting through a room and you're like, oh, this person shared, I lived through that and I lived through that and I lived through that and I'm not the only one. And you get out of your isolation and you keep coming back. And eventually when you're ready, you reach out to a sponsor. And sometimes the sponsor will say, no, I can't sponsor you. And you'll work through that rejection. Oh, I'm not worth anything. No one loves me, right? All those feelings that you feel around addicts of like, if he would care, he'd get better. If he would love me, he wouldn't drink. If he would value me, he wouldn't gamble my money. All those things that you're telling yourself all day long, and you get to work through them and then get a sponsor and then do the 12 steps and keep coming back and keep showing up and then getting into service and giving back what you already have. That's what keeps you intact. And so, so many years in, do you think it's convenient to still go Monday morning to my Al-Anon meetings? It's really not. We've moved out of Brooklyn. I still feel like that's my meeting because initially, those are the people that I recovered with. So I'm not going to move to a Staten Island meeting because those are not my people, right? So I travel from Staten Island to Brooklyn every Monday morning, hook or crook, to my meeting. You think it's convenient? It's not. But why do I go? Because I need to go so that I stay well.
Right.
Because it's not about him. It's about me. And that's something people don't realize. And those are questions I get every day. Why do I need to do recovery if it's a him problem?
Right. I think that's probably the biggest question I get. That's what I was saying before. This ad is for the women listening to this podcast. This company is called Wig Guru. It's wig-guru.com. They have the most innovative ways to deal with one of the worst issues of wigs, which is slipping back and it looking not in place. Women have a big issue with not noticing when everybody could tell that it's a wig because it's slipping back. The amount of innovative products that Wig Guru have is phenomenal. They are customer-based. Many, many customers are reaching out and saying, could you make this product in this different way? And, I like this part, but I don't like this part. There are many, many different types of wig grips, including the trademarked and copyright pending Grip-A-Fix, original Grip-A-Fix, and as well as her wig glue, which is water soluble and is taking the internet by storm. So go over there, put in the code Brainstorm, and you will get 10% off. It is wig-guru.com. it always seems to be it. First of all, do you know my codependency joke?
No, but you can share it.
Tell me if it's inappropriate.
Okay.
It's not a codependency joke. It's an invention.
Okay.
I invented a codependency doll. I actually didn't, but I want to very much. It's going to be on the merch.
Are we going to sell it?
It's going to be on the merch store.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
fantastic.
Okay.
So it's a doll, and you
We
throw
can
it.
collaborate on the merch. Let's see how it works.
Right,
Okay.
right. It's a doll. You throw it against the wall, and it says, "I'm sorry." It's the whole joke. Sorry. It's a codependency doll. Sorry.
It's a good one and a bad one at the same time.
Yeah, okay. If I went overboard, tell me. But I think
No.
that's the funniest invention of all time. That doll. The other thing is, let me run this thing by you because the codependency thing. I have a whole chart that I do for codependency, and I'll try to do it just by explaining it, and you tell me what you think. Which is that there are 3 stages in life, which is dependence, independence, and interdependence.
Mm-hmm.
And when 2 people who are independent have a relationship with each other, it's an interdependent relationship.
Okay.
If 2 people who are in the dependent stage or more in the dependent stage have a relationship with each other, that's codependency. 2 people have to be in the level, basically what I call the dependent stage, which is addiction. It's the addiction stage. I need something to help me. And I once gave a lecture on codependency, and I talked about it as, the dual drowning, where when you're drowning, you push the other person down, and then they push you down, and push down, and everybody just drowns each other, which is actually, as a lifeguard, it's
But
the
that
most
is really
dangerous.
what happens.
That is what happens. But it's 2 people who are desperately trying to hold on to someone else to get better. So they're holding on to their addiction and you're holding on to them. But either way, you're trying to grab the thing that looks like it's going to save you. Mm-hmm. So that's the codependency. Now, that part, which I think is really good because it kind of explains what's happening.
That's literally what's happening.
Right.
He's taking an outside. Okay, I'm saying he because we're talking about the
Well, we're
comfort
talking
zone
about the
women.
comfort
It's
zone.
an organization for the women married to men, hopefully.
Okay.
And
Either way.
whatever, everything is cool.
We're not bringing it up, but now you asked me. Now you got a question. Okay, whatever. It's for women.
Okay, so going back to what I was saying is that if he is using something outside to make him feel good, right? Let's say he is drinking alcohol, right? And so he's using something outside of himself. But initially, what the woman is using is him to soothe her pain.
Right.
And so the more he uses, the more she's dying to use him, the more she's stuck, the more she's reactive, the more he's using.
Right.
But that's not something people realize and or are willing to see for a very long time usually.
Right. And
Because it's painful. It's
and this is the part that you were mentioning before. There's one more part of this. There's a couple more parts to this diagram, which I'm seeing in my head, but I'm trying to explain the best without the diagram. Both people are on the dependent stage, and they're having relationships, codependency. The only way out of the dependence, the codependency,
as if one graduates.
is one goes to independence, which means you do your own work.
Exactly.
But here's the point. The point is, when someone says, "Oh, I'm in a relationship with someone with an addict, but I'm not codependent," I'm like, when you become independent and the other person's still dependent, there's no more relationship. Yeah. That can't work. You are not offering anything to me in my life. I am taking care of a child,
usually,
and I don't need to.
That's usually without creating that expectation for everyone. That is usually when they end up hitting rock bottom. Because you have removed yourself of them in a way that you're not enabling, you're not feeding, you're not saving, so you're not worth anything in it. And so their entire existence becomes way more rocky and unstable. And so sometimes, and a lot of times, what I've seen is they end up rock bottom, which is initially hopefully sobriety, recovery, and all that.
Well, I find one of 2 things happen.
Or they move out and out.
Either they, either they choose to stay in the dependent stage and then the relationship kind of fades. Sometimes it's divorce, sometimes it's this, but the relationship really fades because the healthy person really is not looking for anything from the unhealthy person anymore. It's not there. The other thing is, and this is why people say the old adage that life is a mirror, that if you went up, wait a minute, if I want to hang on to this person, this beautiful woman that is my wife, and if I want to keep this thing, and now she's like a higher value woman because she's really got her stuff together. She's really amazing. Only way to do it is for me to grow.
Absolutely.
So it's you can't do that to make them do that.
I always say that. Like, don't go doing your work because back of your mind you're manipulating to get him to do his work.
Right.
Don't.
But I will tell you
go
that
do your work because you will be a better person. And what ends up happening is that either he will be impressed and want to meet you where you're at, or you guys will end up drifting apart.
And how many times have you seen people who are afraid to grow because they know that their spouse is going to have to make a choice and they're scared to lose them?
Because of codependency is so strong and painful. When you're used to enabling and being so enmeshed and holding everything and having no boundaries and everything is an absolute mess in your relationship, actually putting down your foot and actually creating boundaries and actually being honest and not people-pleasing and not enabling is literally crushing of your soul. It's deadly. It really is.
Why is that? Why is it deadly?
Because there's such guilt. I'm bad, disrespectful, I'm not caring enough, I'm not people-pleasing enough, I'm not, stopping to wash dishes and wiping my hands so that I can, move his car for alternate parking. It's the guilt is unreal.
Right, you took on. How much of that guilt is an interesting thing because you're working in the Orthodox Jewish community. Is it for people in the Orthodox Jewish community?
It is. It's from women. We don't ask on the intake, do you keep Shabbos or not? But if you're Jewish and you're a woman.
But culturally, it's for women. How much of this is something I'm really curious about.
Oh, do you want to start that controversial
No, it's not
question
controversial.
of like
how much
what
of
they were
this,
made to think a
how
woman
much is
really
our culture where a woman is supposed to be,
so much.
Could you explain? Could you talk about that a little? Yeah, let me just say the whole question. Like, how much of our culture, the culture for women in the frum community is you're a bal chesed and you're taking care of, and that's what your whole job is.
I really think it messes with you.
How much does that mess with you?
So much.
Okay.
So much. Like, I have a book that I want to write. I don't know if I want to say it out loud, but it's called Ashes, 4-letter word, Chayil. And it's really the misunderstanding of what people were taught a wife should be. And the understanding of I'm going to be like the live-in maid / nanny / enabler so that he could sit on his throne all day. And that is not what a relationship looks like. And if anyone has that version, please go look for a new version.
So actually, what I'm glad I really would love you to write that book.
It's gonna be so bad. It's gonna be like have to be like double covered. It's gonna be so bad in there.
Well, right. Well, now you can't write under a different name, but write on a different name. No, there's so.
And I want to say one thing is that I love being from and I love being Jewish and I have nothing against anyone, really not. And yet there is this misunderstanding and misalignment sometimes that a lot of us had grown up with, which I do think is getting better. I'm going to say this, like education and, getting ready for marriage is going up versus down. I'm going to say that in education. And yet, like, I don't think there ever has been someone that has, at least in my times, educated women that all those are rules when there's cooperation on both ends, when there's no addiction involved, when there's no mental health involved. But if there's something more complicated, you got to go for another version. You got to go looking for help that really will support your relationship, because it ends up messing with your mind, because it's like, I need to do this to stay alive and recover. And yet inside, I feel like a piece of garbage.
Right.
And so if, let's say, I used to jump at every phone call that came my way from my spouse, part of my recovery is to see a phone call come in and say, not available. I'm with the kids. I'm on a work call, whatever it is, right? And so whatever it is that you need, whether it's urgent or not, I hope you're okay. I hope you're safe. You have a God, you have a higher power. And when I'm available and everything's aligned and I'm ready to hear what's going to come, I will return your call. And yet, even when I do that, and I know that's my recovery of not being codependent and not saving and enabling and stopping my life for his, there is something like, you're so horrible.
Yeah.
You got to jump for that phone call.
Okay, there's an interesting book by God Sod. I don't know if you know. This is more of a political book. He's a evolutionary psychologist, and he talks about like society today has this thing called suicidal empathy, which I thought is really apropos for this topic. Which he talks about is that we have values that are basically killing us. So this is where, so he'll say, right. So he says, like his way of saying it is that we're letting these Islamists take over the whole Europe because our value is that we have to be kind, and we're being kind. And our value is that, if you're a person of color, you have to be treated really well. And that's our value. But meanwhile, you're destroying Europe. So that's the idea. It seems to fit really well. It's like
I think that's what you're bringing up is a lot like in recovery, we talk about that a coin has two sides, right? So that every character trait we have also has a negative side to it, right? So, for example, I am super responsible person. I will be on time. I am reliable. I will keep my word. That's who I am. And also, because I'm that, I sometimes don't know how to not pick up what is not mine because I'm super responsible. And so everything you own and have inside of you can either make you grow or kill you. And so you got to be careful with those things.
Right.
Because when I see something that has been neglected, in my mind, I get this, pick it up, it's yours. But it's not mine. And so then I need to sit with all the feelings of like, oh, I'm going to die inside, but I know it's not mine.
Well, let me ask you a question. Did you feel this way before you were married with other things as well, or it just started when you were married?
No, of course, those things, it has to do with your upbringing.
Right.
If you were a people pleaser and and you got filled by volunteering more and doing more and whatever, those things it doesn't happen like at 25. You don't get switched of like becoming that type of person.
Right.
You operate in such a way.
Well, I have like immediate reactions to words like boundaries.
Okay.
Okay, partially because I'm a people pleaser myself, so boundaries are rough.
Okay.
But also,
You know what a boundary is?
Oh, tell us what a boundary is.
Something that keeps you safe in a situation. So it's not a rule that you put on another person. It's something that you do for yourself.
If a boundary is, I like what you just said, if a boundary is about the other person, it's not a boundary, it's just a rule.
Yep.
A boundary is about yourself.
So many people have that all messed up in the addiction world. Oh, I made a boundary, he can't come home. That's not a boundary. That's a rule.
Okay, you're kind of answering my question before I ask the question.
Okay, so go for the question.
Everything is good and bad in this world. I will say, especially with parents, the most dangerous word I've heard has been boundaries. Like when I say my kid goes out, I have a boundary. And that boundary and every time a parent starts saying I got boundaries and boundaries,
it's probably rules.
It's always rules. So you kind of explained the issue, but the word boundaries is so
Triggering?
abused. Well, it's triggering. The word triggering is triggering. That's my next merch also. Trigger is my trigger word. So the life is a trigger, folks.
It is.
Everything's a trigger. Trigger warning, life.
Oh, that's a good one. That one I like.
Which one? Life is a trigger.
Yeah, trigger warning, life.
Life. What the heck? It's like you put a trigger warning on a video. No matter what is out there, I'm somewhat triggered. So, no, I think that the word boundaries, people have taken the word boundaries and said, I now get to control everybody else around me and say it's my boundary. I made a boundary. So you have to do this.
People are misusing the word boundary all the time. And you know, as someone that's very much in the recovery world, and I very much talk to women that are in complete chaos and helplessness and they don't know what to do next, sometimes I need to correct them and say, can I mirror something back? Because what you're explaining to me is not a boundary, it's a rule. And so if you tell me that you made a rule that, you know, your spouse is high, and if he's high, he cannot come into the house, that is not a boundary, that is a rule. I'm so sorry. It's really horrible to be in the same home as someone that's, you know, possibly using drugs around children. It's not safe. And yet that is a rule. He's on the lease. You're on the lease. He can be in the home like you can be in the home. A boundary would be, hey, love, it's really difficult for me to be around you and I don't feel safe and it's not something I want the kids seeing, you getting high. And so if you come in with drugs, I will take the children and go sleep at my mom's house. And so you're not telling him to change anything that he doesn't want to change. But what you're doing is you're stepping up for yourself. That's a boundary.
Right.
And it's hard.
I really appreciate
it's really
that.
difficult.
I really appreciate that clarification because I think the listeners need to know, everybody needs to know the difference because the level of abuse of that word is wild. And actually, before we got on, you challenged me, which I really loved.
Okay.
You want to do it again, or
get
should I just
back
say?
to the comfort zone after? We'll maybe take it full circle and say really what it is that we do and really what our mission is, because I think that's important. But
All right, so let's stop here. Go
challenge.
back. Go back. Listen, I want to talk about Our Village Women's Home. Our Village is a sober living community in Pomona, New York. And a lot of people mistakenly believe that this is like a regular, like halfway house. It is not. It is a full-blown community where you are embraced and loved and cared about and cared for. And they will literally do anything to help you move forward. It is the safest and most wonderful place to come and get your way through the recovery. They help you in every single way. Our Village is everything you need to help you get through the most difficult time of your life, early recovery. And it helps you transition into an independent, amazing life. And we believe in Our Village that everybody has the potential to be their amazing self. And the people that come are awesome. The staff is awesome. You definitely want to get in touch with them. It's ourvillageny.org. Reach out and you'll find out all about it. I think people will understand what's going on in the comfort zone by you explaining the topic. But are there other things going on in the comfort zone that you didn't talk about yet?
We have the meetings. We
Right.
have the chat. We do in-person events monthly in Florida, Lakewood, Muncie, Brooklyn, every single month. And the point of those events is that quietly, silently under the event, and yes, we pamper them and we give them dinner and we have a meeting and we let them talk and we do a craft and we really take care of them. But under everything that we put out into this community, there are recovery tools that we teach them. We teach them that you getting a babysitter for one night a month is recovery because that means you're worth it and you're valuing yourself, and you don't have to sit at home and watch the chaos. Like, it's not a mitzvah to stay in it. You know what I mean? And which gets me to the idea of like what I used to think that laughing and having fun was being disrespectful to my pain. And so, no, you can come out and you can laugh and you can cry and you can be taken care of while you hold your pain. We're not saving you. We have retreats, we have newsletters, we have gifts going out every single Chag, which is a huge part of our organization.
Oh, I heard about that. What is the gifts?
So every single Chag, being that it's hard, it's difficult. Usually if you're dealing with addiction, let's just say finances. There are two ways finances are with addiction. Either it doesn't exist or it's so much because they're on things that are getting them to like really work. And so Yom Tov can be really hard in addiction homes. It's also hard because they're home. There's no schedule. There's no, work. It's shul. There's shame. There's Simchas Torah. There's Purim. I mean, think about Jewish and addiction, and kids are off schedule, and everything's just so much more overwhelming. And so we send a gift to every mother of the home because 90% of them will not be recognized for anything. And so we want to remind you that there's someone out there that loves you and thinks about you, and we care about you. And those women go into Yom Tov feeling like, I'm not a piece of dirt. And so right now for Sukkot, we sent out 135 gift cards.
Oh, nice.
For every single woman, and they got to choose what to spend it on and how to treat themselves. And it's literally what restores them to sanity, taking care of themselves, showing them that they're part of the equation. They're not just martyrs. They're not just an overseen, silent community. They exist. And so a lot of the things that we do is really producing this idea that we will love you until you love yourself. And that's going back to what you were saying.
Shiva house rules.
Yeah, but that's really what's going on about the codependent. As you're learning to become independent, that extreme pain of like, I want a hug, but I don't want his hug, but I'm dying for a hug, but you're strangling yourself, knowing that there is a community of people that love you and understand you and will hold whatever pain it is that you're holding is so beneficial. And I really believe what gets their recovery activated. Like, it's almost like you can't not get inspired. There's no chance. You have women in the community that have been where you are, let's say now, and have put their 2 feet down, worked their program, living with their spouses, having more children. That's the proof. What else is the proof?
Right. Well, how does it look? How does healthy recovery look?
Healthy recovery looks like peace, serenity, and joy. That's what it looks like for me. When I can see everything in my life, and yes, my life is not perfect, but there's so much in my life, and I am regulated, and I am calm, and I'm not reactive, and I focus on me, and I take care of me, and I know what I need, and I know there's clarity within me. I know why I'm here today, and if that changes, I'm not there tomorrow. I know what's going on, and it's not just a mumble jumble of a relationship.
Right.
There's peace, there's serenity, there's clarity, there's stability. I mean, in Al-Anon they say, you will learn to get better whether the alcoholic is still drinking or not. As long as you're depending on his recovery to be good, you're going to die. Because he's going to have good days and he's going to have bad days. And so that's really where it comes in, like the codependency is like, it's so much harder to be codependent.
It is. I would tell you it's interesting because I'm not. This is something that a lot of people don't know, but if you listen to my podcast, you probably do. I'm not an addict. I don't identify really as an addict in recovery, which is weird because I am so deeply steeped into this world. There was a point where I thought, I was young and I was using, and I really thought I would, but I never identified with being addicted to drugs or alcohol. There is only really one thing that I've identified on some level, which is codependency. I actually consider my whole field like professional codependency. Like I'm taking care of everybody.
I feel that really,
So,
I feel that.
So I'll say on a personal note, while you were saying
but there's
what recovery
with
feels
doing
like.
that. Like when I build the comfort zone, right? Obviously part of me is like, okay, so you stopped saving your internal people. So now you're going to start saving the world. Mm-hmm. But it's not true because, I'm telling myself it's not true. It's because I get to do it with boundaries, with love, with self-respect. When I'm codependent, I betray all of me to make the next person happy.
Right.
I am dishonest with everything inside of me to please the next person. So that means I could be thinking no in my head and saying the word yes out of my mouth. When I'm working in the comfort zone, if I am not available, you can call me literally 8 times because you think you're having a panic attack in London, and I will still not pick up my phone because those hours I just don't pick up my phone.
Right.
And so it's very different. Yes, of course, we created something that has an immense impact on the world, but have you sacrificed your insides for that?
I used to.
Okay, cool. So I'm happy you don't anymore.
I don't, and it's been very confusing. Not confusing, but actually my job has gotten harder and harder and easier and easier. It's harder because I don't have the drive, like my whole identity is built around like whether I'm amazing
But
at this
that's
work.
an addiction because you're feeding.
Listen, you're rubbing it in my face. I'm middle of telling you.
I think I listened on one of your podcasts. I don't know who it was.
Do you yell at the podcast when you hear it?
No,
You're
no.
like,
I
"What
think
the
you were
heck?"
talking to a therapist and you were saying that the work you used to do used to feed your insides.
And as I've gotten healthier and healthier, it's work I want to do, but it's not like I am driven like a level like I used to be, like my whole identity is. But I will say, I will say that one of the ways that I could recognize if I'm doing better with my codependency is like based on another joke. This joke you for sure heard, which is a codependent wakes up in the morning and says, "Honey, how do we feel today?" Right? So like whatever
Not
they're
even
feeling.
we. It's how do you? It's
It's the best way of explaining how do you feel so I know how I feel.
yeah.
Right? So it's
literally.
but the joke is how do we feel? Like whatever you feel, I'm going to have to join in. And so I will say when I feel healthy, my wife could be in the worst place and I could just be there for her. I don't have to immediately go to that horrible place with her. Right. I could be there and I could go there with her, but not in a way that I'm there.
Exactly.
So that is the nuance in me when I know I'm doing better.
Exactly.
And it's a scale. It's not every day. Some days
that's life.
some days I'm not.
I do the same. Like that's life, right? But it's really this enmeshed version, and every time something would be going on my husband's end, I would be dead inside, and I could have been having the best day ever a minute before that phone call came in.
Right.
A minute before, and now I'm like, I'm gone. I don't know why I'm here anymore. Like, what's going on? My whole life's... You were literally at the spot. Like, what's now, right?
Right.
And yeah, part of the recovery is learning that, okay, cool, I hear you, and I can still have a good day.
Right.
I don't need to go there.
Well, I think in the beginning...
It's also, I end up... If I go there, I end up not giving you the opportunity to get out of where you are. And I think that's something important. When people are codependent and they're so enmeshed and they'll be like, oh, I'm coming to save you, and I'm coming to fix you, and I'm coming to bail you out. They will never have to bail themselves out of anything. And so, in a way, their life is so peaceful and easy.
I mean, I would disagree with that because I don't think an addict's life is peaceful and easy no matter what you do to them. Meaning it might be a little easier. But
So what is this whole enabling concept?
I hate the enabling concept.
Okay.
Let's go. Enabling is my one of my favorite words. No, I don't.
More merch.
No, because again, if I do anything
Mm-hmm.
to change you in any way, either enabling or not enabling,
Okay.
meaning you just said, if I don't do it, you'll have a chance of growing more. It also has the effect of I don't care.
Okay.
I mean, like with a husband and wife, I don't think it's up to the husband or wife to change their husband or wife at all.
Period.
So if I say, I'm not going to bail you out because then you're going to learn how to bail yourself out, that's a version of changing them.
Right. That's a manipulation.
Well, I
Right.
don't want to do that.
Right.
To me, when I say in the beginning, it's like I have to separate because I'm getting too sucked into this emotion. I can't get to it. But I think this is the fascinating thing about process addictions, which codependency, I believe, is a process addiction. I mean, it is a process addiction. Okay, so process addictions is I have to learn to eat, which is eating is one of them, healthy. That means the thing that I use to heal myself in a very unhealthy way, I can't just say like a drug addict, I'm done with drugs, I'll never use drugs again, which is hard, but not nearly as hard as saying, I'm going to have to use heroin responsibly. That's what codependency is. That the nuances is that I now have to say, I don't want to kill my compassion and I want to be empathetic and compassionate to this person as a person. It's irrelevant of how it's going to change them or how it's going to, I'm doing it because I'm a kind person and I want to do it. Not because I'm compelled to do it because I have to fix you. So the thing is that you spend years doing it by being compelled that we have aversion. We want to go abstinent.
But
we
that's
can't.
when we talk about in recovery is that in order to come back to an even medium, sometimes you need to go all the way to the other way
Right.
because it's so dangerous. You're in such a dangerous position so that you got to go to the extreme opposite. But the work is not to stay at the extreme opposite.
Exactly.
The work is to come back in the middle. And that's what I asked you before we went on. This question is that sometimes what I find is that in recovery, right, being that it's a program for yourself. So, you know, the codependent wife will either go to Al-Anon or Coda, right, and find recovery there. And the guy will pick whatever recovery hopefully he wants to, right?
If he does.
And if he does. And then sometimes they end up further apart. And the work is not to stay there, even if they're both in recovery. The work is the merge to come back to the center. And that's really the hardest part of recovery. Because if I go live alone on an island, I can call myself recovered. I'm done. I graduated. But as long as I live with people and as long as people are the addiction of a codependent, right? I need to keep my recovery alive because it's never ending. I need to learn how to get all those levels more regulated and more even where I can be the person I want to be, which is kind, caring, respectful, and nice.
Right.
And so that's the work.
Yeah, but it is. I mean, I every time I have any conversations about process addictions, it floors me about the work because I deal with drug addicts and alcoholics, and I consider them, although it is the most horrific thing to go through of all addictions. Oh, what a machaya to just dump it and say I'll never
More merch. What a machaya.
What a machaya. I never want to look at drugs ever again, and you don't have to. The rest of your life, I don't want to drink. All I do is I walk in, I say I'm not drinking. But what if I say now you have to get to this middle, like you're saying. We have to get back to I am with this person. This person's about to go into chaos.
Right, but
And what is my job? So the beginning is, I'm nothing to do with this. You go do your chaos. the ultimate healing, when you're healed, is I'm here for you in your chaos, but I am not coming into your chaos.
Absolutely.
That's
recovery.
That's recovery.
And that is the when I can say, I am not willing to be the rat on your hamster wheel, but I'm willing to sit right next to you so that if you fall off your hamster wheel, I'm here for you, but I'm not becoming the rat. I'm not willing anymore. I've done rat years for a lot of years.
Right.
And so that's recovery. And, part of the comfort zone and why we created it was because we found that there were organizations for mothers that were divorced and single. And so there are organizations that will take your son to shul and, send you something for Chag and whatever and take care of you, right? And then we noticed that a lot of women that are impacted by addiction will automatically jump for divorce because they really have no clue what the hell to do with their life. They're just like so drowning, helpless, traumatized, betrayed, what you call it, they have it, right? They're in shock, they're fight and flight. And so the only thing that feels in their system right is if I get myself out of it, right? This is fire, and if I leave, divorce, the fire is over. And so we realized that if we create a place where people don't have to jump from the fire, I'm not saying if there's Chas v'shalom abuse or whatever, I'm not saying not to get divorced, right? But to realize that I can still exist within the fire if I have support. And so I can wait for the fire to become a bit smaller for me to think in a normal, regulated state and not out of like shock and misery.
Right.
And we have
Or
women calling
crisis.
us. Exactly.
I
We
hate
have
the
women
word
calling,
crisis. I
I'm
hate so
filing
many
for a
words.
divorce.
I hate
I'm
so
filing
many
for a
words.
divorce tomorrow.
Right.
A year later, they're still not divorced. And in Al-Anon, they will tell you that when you get into a room, they say for the first 6 months, don't do any big decisions. Don't make any big decisions. Why? Because when you're in crisis mode and everything looks so big and you're falling apart and even putting frozen pizza into the oven feels like too much, you're also going to file for a divorce.
Right.
And so community does help. It's tricky. It really is tricky. And it's something I really...
What do you mean it's tricky? The community is tricky?
Yeah, community is what's keeping so many of those women, grounded and supported within their chaos. And at the same time, every day, right, more women reach out. And so women come in at different stages, right? Every day, new women are joining, new women in crisis, right? Some women finally got over their crisis mode. And so to exist and be re-traumatized by people sharing or whatever, it's a tricky community. It's not everybody did detox the same week and everybody's in sober living. They're not growing together. Every day newcomers are coming in. 5 new women joined yesterday.
Really?
Yeah. It was after Chag, and Chag, I guess, blew them in the face. And there were people that reached out and I said, after Sukkot, I will get back to you.
That's where I get all the addict phone calls also, right after Chag.
So I'm just saying is that it's hard. The community is hard. The idea that it's a recovery-based community, and yet we still want you to have a voice so that if you feel like all you need to vent just for today, there are friends listening to you. So the community is tricky, and yet the community is what saves so many women to sit in their pain and give things time, because the biggest healer is time. And so there is more options available than just divorce.
Right.
Sometimes you'll say the word rehab and they're like, oh, I didn't know married men go to rehab. Like, people are really don't know.
Are you seeing a lot of these marriages coming around and becoming what you would look up to as a very decent or great marriage? Are you seeing a lot of that?
It's really hard to say because I think I know too much in terms of in terms of like personal marriages. I really just know too much of everyone's stories, right?
Right.
But are these people functioning and happy and thriving and running businesses and marrying off kids and having kids? Yes, there's absolutely hope.
Right.
And again, I do think that sometimes
It's not such a fair question. I'll tell you why. Because if I asked you that question about any marriage, and if you knew too much about almost any marriage,
so that's the
you'd
question
be
that
like,
I'm going to. Exactly. So that's a question I'm going to, which I think I want to ask you is that I feel a lot of times when it comes to, especially the Al-Anon dynamic, which we are in the room, let's say, because of someone else's addiction, right? Not knowing that you contribute to the addiction, which is something. So many times there's already recovery, sobriety. He's working at 12-step and small things happen. Everyone's marriage, things happen, right? Like annoying but then yet we still blame it on the addiction. But it's just regular marriage. So at what point can we sort of graduate from this victimhood of addiction? Do you understand?
Ooh, that's
Does that make
such
sense?
Yes, because I just love that word that you said, that the victimhood of addiction. It's a tricky thing because it's like you had one monster your whole life,
Right. That's
and
what.
then every time something goes wrong, that's
like
the
addiction.
monster. That's what it is. It's addiction.
And I even love to tell people that if someone's affected by a spouse's, mental health issue, they're depressed, they're anxious, right? It runs the same thing. It really does.
Yeah.
And so at what point can you let the monster know you've robbed enough of my life? I'd like to put you away in the closet. And now we're just a regular couple that has issues, because every couple gets into issues.
Right.
But it's not the monster. But it's almost so much easier and more validating to blame it on a monster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also, that's another thing that doesn't come up much with drug addicts and alcoholics, is because the drugs and alcohol is not there to blame.
Not true, because their emotional sobriety is shocked.
I understand, but they don't immediately go to, oh, well, I'm drinking and that's why. But you're in the middle of it.
It still gets blamed for the addiction. I know plenty of people that are sober 3-4 years. It's like, oh my gosh, he did such an addict thing.
Yeah. Addictive behavior.
Right. Maybe he just did a guy thing. Maybe he just did a human thing. Maybe it's not an addict thing. And it's funny because
but
I remember
things do pop up. I mean, I agree with you. I definitely think we can't blame everything, but it does, you do fall back into old behaviors all the time.
Right, but is this blame game, and I'm asking you just out of curiosity because
Yeah.
I watch it, is it serving? Like, I remember someone telling me that Al-Anon is victimhood, and I disagreed. Because
I have felt that in Al-Anon meetings. I will tell you that. I have family members that are in recovery, and I had to go to Al-Anon, and I'm not trying to blow up their anonymity, but I really didn't like going. I was like, what are we sitting around complaining about are we doing work or we're not doing work? Like, to me, that was my feeling.
and when you go into an AA meeting, and everyone's venting about it, like,
if I
does it become harder because, again, they're not willing to see their part, but that doesn't happen in a day.
I know, but if I go
so
into
long.
AA meeting, and even the more advanced people, they got a couple years and they're still going, I didn't drink today, and let me tell you about my drinking and telling you. I'm like, what are you talking about? And none of this has to do with your recovery. And if it's not solution based at the highest level. Now I understand that people walking in, they got 6 months or whatever. They're still deeply in the trauma. They're still talking about it. But if I walk into a meeting and the people 5-6 years in are still talking about how the husband this and the husband that, I'm like, I get it.
Right.
I recognize that you're struggling.
That's the idea that sometimes I get complaint, and it's funny because so we run this big group, and like I said, people come in at different stages, right? So newcomers now, the person that's 3 years in, you have to remember you were also once a newcomer.
Right.
You trashed your spouse the same exact way. You looked yourself in the mirror, you saw your problems, you went to work on them, so your life turned around, but gotta learn some patience, or mute your phone, or don't go to that meeting, or take what you like and leave the rest. Like, there are so many tools and things we get to work on, even being angry at the person that's 6 years in and talking about the same crap he's been talking for 6 years.
Right. No, listen, there's always a couple of people that are like that in any meeting you go to. That's true.
I can name them. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, the atmosphere, there happens to be the bunch of times I went, the atmosphere in those meetings. So I ended up going to ACA. I actually liked it better.
ACOA.
But what I found is that it's meeting by meeting. That's usually what it is.
1,000%.
So you find the good meetings. I once heard a really cool thing that the closer you are to the city, the better the NA meetings are. And the closer you are to the suburbs, the AA meetings are better. And I think it has to, whatever, that's an interesting thing. If anybody wants to comment and let me know what they think about that, because I heard that. But there are different meetings. And my favorite thing about the 12 steps, this is like top of my favorite thing, is that it only talks about alcohol in the first step. And it doesn't even tell you how to stop doing it. Yeah. It's just self-development and understanding you're in a community and you're being held and God's going to help you. And it's literally just working on yourself. And then you're not trying to get away from something. You're trying to be someone who doesn't need something.
Exactly. And what I love is that, part of what I always told women is that I wish I could teach the 12 steps to women that are not impacted by addiction. Why? Because it's a way of living that is so peaceful and so empowering and so mature and so everything. And so, yes, part of the 12 steps, like you said, some meetings can be on the more not so recovered atmosphere. And yet meetings is not your entire recovery at all. Meetings is just the community part of your recovery, working your steps and getting to step 4 and looking yourself in the face and in the mirror and being like, what did I screw up here? What is good and what is bad, right? Why do I have a resentment? How did I contribute to the resentment? What part of my insides were hurt by the actions? That is the work. It's not the meeting.
Right.
Meeting is a cherry on top.
Right.
And so a lot of people are not willing to do the work. And so they spit meetings for years.
Meeting junkies.
Yeah. Where's the work? You're not going to get out of your own crap if you don't actually do the work.
I'll tell you something interesting. When I first started my first sober living, probably 12 years ago or something like this, I remember I was about to hire somebody and he said, listen, if you're not working the steps, at least you go to meetings. Like if you're meeting makers, make it. That was his line. It's a 12-step line. Anyway, I will say it's one of the things that I actually shifted my thoughts on, because at the beginning I was like, that's crap. This is crap. But I also recognize that some people are not ready to do the steps, so the fellowship will be there for them until they're ready.
That's literally written in recovery.
Yeah.
That it's a gentle program. We don't tell people what to do when. We tell them keep coming back. Those are the words we use. And so when you're ready, you will reach out. And when you're ready, you will do the steps. And so I'm not judging anyone that hasn't gotten to the steps. You could pick up a lot of tools from books and hearing and listening, and even just sitting in a room quiet for 58 minutes and talking 2 minutes is very much recovery. Being able to listen, There's a lot of tools you'll pick up that are valid and good, things to have in life, and do it when you're ready. But it's so empowering once you do it. Your life completely changes the way you operate. There is no question. And for anyone that thinks they believe in Hashem before getting into a 12-step, Once they do step 2 and step 3, now they really believe in Hashem. Like it's just a different level of connection and a different level of letting go and a different level of faith and trust.
What's different about it?
What's different? Because I think it's a choice. It becomes a choice.
You're saying people don't believe in Hashem because it's not.
Because their father believed in Hashem. Because the teacher said you should believe in Hashem. But here it's almost like everyone lets you not believe in Hashem anymore, and then you get to pick it up again the way you want to believe Him.
Right. I think that one of the things that I see with the second and third steps. So, well, first of all, I'll tell you this. You know, in recovery, there's what we call the three steppers. They're on the fourth step. Everybody's on the fourth step. So, you know what the line I hear all the time, which makes me laugh? I'm on my fifth step. I'm like, you're not on your fourth step. If you finish your fourth step, the next day you're on your fifth step and you're done. You're not on your fourth.
You know, the fourth step is open heart surgery.
It's open heart surgery.
That's why people are step 1, 2, and 3ers.
Right. But I will say
5 is to mend the heart that's open. 5, 6, 7. You know, so yeah, if you finished your 4, you're continuing to close it up.
Right. So, like, not to make jokes, this is a very difficult topic, and I do like to make jokes about things, so we'll keep it to jokes. But in truth, I believe that anybody who's stuck on that fourth step, it's because they haven't done the first 3 right.
Absolutely, because that's a foundation.
It's the foundation. Now, if you really, truly believe that God, the community, there's a solution, and there is a loving God that wants to help you through it, that strength will help you do the fourth step real easy.
A bajillion %.
Right. So I find that very fascinating. So people tell me, I'm stuck on my fourth step. I'm like, don't work on your fourth step. If you're stuck on your fourth step, go back to 1, 2, 3 and find out what's going on over there.
And, you know, what's fascinating is that, you know, we admit it to God, right? Why we? Why not I admit it to God? It's because it's a community-based approach. You can't do it alone. If you're doing steps alone, it's going to be really so much
changes
painful.
It to I.
Oh, sheesh. Okay, I'm sorry.
I think they do.
In Al-Anon, it's we.
Yeah. AA, it's also we.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You guys can correct me.
I'm sorry.
I'm not the Buckies, but no.
Look, I want to say is that I know there's also controversial issues around steps, okay? And recovery rooms, and there's a lot.
By the way,
I know all
this.
the sides.
I haven't seen too much controversy about the steps. I've seen controversy on, this is what I say about the 12 steps. The stuff that bothers people are the minhagim, not the halachas.
The traditions.
Yeah. When you have, I'm just using Jewish words, but we come up with all these new stuff, even above the traditions. Like there's the written traditions, and then there's actual like I get people, places, and things. Like I won't hang out with you anymore because I'm. How does a codependent not hang out with their addiction anymore? It's their husband in the same room. So you can't do people, places, and things. You have to work on yourself. But that becomes such a big thing that people will get hurt. So like my biggest complaint I've seen, whether it was conscious or unconscious, from people who left the 12 steps or were involved and then left, my biggest complaint was when they messed up, everybody abandoned them. That was the feeling. All of a sudden, they became the people, places, and things because people believe the people, places, and things. They're like, so maybe in codependency you don't have the same thing, but when in somebody who relapsed after a bunch of years, then all of a sudden, where's all my love?
But isn't that step 5, right?
No, not step 5.
I need my phone.
You need your phone.
Isn't part of step 5 is being able to open up to God, a person, like to share all your defects, right? I remember the exact words, right? With the God, a person, and whatever. And what is the point? If you go into step 5 and you work it, the point is that you will not be judged. Somebody is willing to hear how you messed up and still stay with you.
Right. You see how that's a halacha, meaning that's step 5.
Right.
We're supposed to be compassionate, listen, and be completely forgiving of all your things, that's amazing. We also know that the newcomer is the most important one, and that we're supposed to be taking care of the person who comes into the room. But I found people are sober for a year or two, then they relapse, and everybody goes, wait a minute, I can't hang out with you anymore. You relapsed. Which, if it was before they ever entered, they would try to attract them in. But now you're the danger. What I'm saying is that's not written in the steps.
Right, no.
So it's a thing that I found. It's like you're complaining about 12 steps, but it's not in the 12 steps. This is like...
Right, but I think that part that you're saying also has to do with judgment. Why? Because there's a part inside of some of us that believe that if you were once sober and recovered, the relapse now is your fault. It's a shtickle judgment there.
Yes.
It's your fault. Get yourself out of it. When you're out of it, come back. I'll help you.
Right.
And if I wouldn't have that judgment and I would remind myself that it's an illness, the same like cancer comes back sometimes. 5 years down the line, you had it in your leg and now you're having it somewhere else. And it's nothing you could control. Then what? You're not going to take the person to the hospital because they have cancer in the second place? So that's already human beings
I know
getting in the way of...
It's the culture. That's so. What I'm saying is when you say people argue about the steps, I find very little that people would argue about the steps. I do hear. I don't like the idea of powerlessness. They say, "What's powerlessness?" I'm not powerlessness. I could conquer anything.
Putting your ego aside. If your ego's still sky high, you actually can't build any recovery on it.
Well, I actually have a different vart on powerlessness.
Okay.
My thought on powerlessness is that you're just admitting where you're at. Like you are powerless. Like you trying to not do the drug and you keep doing the drug. Is that powerful or powerless? Which one is it? It doesn't have to be as deep. You could make it deeper and go to different levels. But just the idea, I am in the state of dependence. That's where I am. I should deal with it from that place, not from a place where I'm strong and I screw up sometimes. No, the screwing up sometimes is because you have no power.
Right.
That's just,
I think powerlessness in an Al-Anon room is even harder than in an AA room.
Why is that?
Because you tell me how I really don't have control over a spouse. Like, let's say your wife comes home tomorrow and says, I'm going to Israel for a week.
Right.
In your mind, you think you can't somehow change her mind or make her change her ticket or something? You still believe that?
Yeah, I could change it.
Okay, so you're not powerless. You're in power.
Sometimes.
Right, but this idea that admitting that I'm living with another adult and I'm really powerless over every choice he makes, even if it's supposed to be a partnership, even if it's our money, our house, our children. It's so much deeper than the drugs and because it's almost like, what do you mean? I'll just make it. I'll make it work. I'll make a change. I'll call someone. I'll do. It's all the trying.
I don't think I see this happening with drugs and alcohol as much. Meaning you say, "Oh, I have no problem," but that's just. It's like denial. So it's
right.
Most people with alcohol and drug addictions, before they get into a program and realize that they're powerless, most of them believe that 90% of the time they have full control over the whole thing. And once in a while they mess up, but they know which drugs, how to do the drugs. How to cheat. One of the things I always found fascinating, which I almost want to hit them over the head, is it's every drug addict and alcoholic. They always say, I'm good at it. They always say, I'm good at doing drugs. I'm good at rolling. I'm good at this. I'm good at taking the right drugs. I know how to mix. I know how to, it's like some sort of talent. It's similar to what you're saying with codependency. Like, I know I'm good at controlling my husband. I'm good at doing drugs. I'm like, you're showing off about your powerlessness. That's where I want.
You're like unmanageability. Literally, you're putting it on
Yeah, but you challenged me before, which I really loved. I'll tell you your challenge because we were not on air yet. Which was, here I am talking love. That's all I talk about, right?
Yeah.
And you said unconditional love, which I will say that I step away from unconditional love because I only believe there's only 2 times you could have unconditional love, and that's a child when they're first born, and maybe from God to us. That's it. But I don't think that anybody really can unconditionally love another person. It's very hard. But like, I'm just making that point. But your point was, here we are with love, 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 and it seems that with husbands and wives, it's a little different situation. And so I was saying this is, let me make a statement. You were like, is that still the same situation? Whatever they do, we love them, and but I'm the wife, I'm the schmata, I'm the rat. What'd you call it? I'm the
hamster wheel.
I'm the rat of the hamster wheel. I don't want to be going along with it. It's the only time I tell people the role of a marriage is a very special role. It's a choosing of a relationship on a daily basis. It's a choice of a relationship. Meaning, I am an adult, you're an adult. Our contract is that we are there for each other to the best of our abilities. That's what we are. I do not need to stay in this relationship if you don't treat me the way I need to be treated. I have demands. We actually write them down like a suba. Like, there are demands. Like, this is it. And that's a very important thing. So when a parent comes to me and says, "What do I do about your kid? They're losing their mind," I say, "Listen, your job is to love this kid. Their job is to get better, but it's not." So the amount of unconditional love you could give that kid is pretty enormous. But a job of a spouse is not to raise their spouse. That job is not theirs. Now, I will say that they should be super compassionate. There's no reason to not be compassionate. There's no reason to not be supportive and loving. But they have no right to treat you badly. They do not reserve that right because they put a ring on your finger. That is not their right. You have, like what you're talking about with boundaries. Boundaries are, I have to be treated like the queen I am. I have to be treated like the king I am. Whatever it is, these are how I expect to be treated. And that's why I believe when it comes to, you don't have to be mean to your spouse. I don't think that's what it is. But you could say, I demand more. I don't need to unconditionally love you to better. I don't have to do that for you. That is not my job. So it's really one of the only major exceptions I have in this game, I don't know how to say, is when I tell, you cannot give up yourself to make someone better. And parents are like, I don't want to do that. And I say, wrong.
Yeah.
You brought a child into this world. That is built into this is you're there for them. That's what you promised to them. You're there for them. They did not promise to be there for you. That's not how it is. That's why they have halacha to be there for you, because that's not their promise. We don't have respect to kids. That is what we're saying when we have a child. So when you get married to someone, so what I say to all the time is like, if you can't be the husband that I need, then I will leave. That doesn't sound very loving. It doesn't sound unconditionally loving. You don't have to. But I don't believe, like you read all those things that you've said before, that you should ever try to change them. It's not your job to change them.
Right. I want to ask you something, I know a lot of women, especially in our community, they go through, addiction and through it. And then some of the men will go to rehabs and they'll be gone for 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 3 months, 4 months. And most of these women are home with children, got to pay rent, got to do the grocery, got to do chag. And also all within a community that nobody talks about spouses being in rehab. Who's in rehab? Maybe some druggie that's on the side of the road that's 15 years old and ends up in, who's in rehab at 35, 45, 55, right?
Right.
And so when they come home, right, and plenty of them don't go to sober living, right, because they're on a time bomb, right? I'm a husband, I'm a father, running a business, right? What is on the wife to support their recovery without dying of their recovery? Because recovery can be very tough on a wife. Going to meetings, 90 days, outpatient, inpatient. You're home, but you're not home. You're fine. right? Like this idea of like you were gone for 4 months, so now take over 4 months, right? Like the underlying expectations. And so when I was talking about like this love idea, it's like for so many men, they're not in a sober living. They're not in a community. They're hopefully attending their meetings. So who's helping them recover so that they continue their stability, their wife continues the stability until there's enough stability so that they can recover together?
I mean, I would say, first of all, I don't know how to say the word halavai. He's going to a meeting every day and it's annoying to you. Meaning like that's, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't find that many cases of like, I'm going every single day to a meeting and yeah, the wife is like, hey, you've been away for 6 months. I need you here at night. And he's like, I'm going to a meeting. Listen, the best way is go to a meeting in the morning when no one's, when no one.
Do you think meetings can become an addiction?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, we just mentioned it before. Meeting junkies, it means addiction. Listen, the whole idea of addiction is validation. So we're just trying to get validation. If meetings are giving you all that validation, then you could definitely get addicted to meetings. That being said, it's usually better than all the other addictions they had. So, so sometimes you got to pick. You got to pick your addiction. I do believe that it's really, really hard to fully recover, that you're not addicted to anything at all.
Oh, that gets me to the next question. Do you think you can be recovered, or do addictions just jump to less severe ones?
They always just jump.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I answered the last question. I don't understand. I don't know if I understood it, but I want to ask. I want to talk about this for a second because and this is in the addiction community and recovery community doesn't really. I don't know if they agree with this. But I do believe that all addictions in their core, when you peel back all the layers and layers, are all codependency, all people addictions. It's about validation. That is what we're doing. We're trying to be validated by the outside so that we could feel good on the inside. That's the core. What I found is the drugs and stuff like that. Every addict you meet, drug addict, alcoholic, they're all people pleasers. They're all trying to make everybody happy with them. What happens with being a people pleaser, it's the most exhausting addiction because people really don't behave. They don't know how to could you just make me feel good? They don't behave.
I love it.
But if you stick a pill in, it behaves. It's you know what I'm saying? I stick a pill in.
It's so simple.
Right.
It's really
so
simplicity.
You're trying really hard to make everybody love you and this and that. And I always... There's a funny thing I say with addicts is like if you walk into a room and 20 people are there and 19 of them are like, you're amazing. And one of them's like, meh. That's all you're thinking about.
Yeah.
The meh. That little meh means I'm the worst person in the whole world. Addict can't handle even a tiny bit of criticism or anything because they're using an external self-esteem to be able to put it inside. The goal in life is to build our self-esteem from the inside that's strong enough. I don't need that's the idea. When I was saying the way I feel better with my codependency is that I'm strong enough that if someone else is sitting there going, I'm really not in the mood for you today, or I'm in a bad mood, or, I don't have to figure out a way to fix that so that I fix myself. I don't have to do that. So I do believe addiction, when you peel back all the layers, it will come back to I need you to love me. And maybe and if you want to go all the way back, it's I need God to love me. That's maybe if you keep going. So when you work on your addictions, they do jump, but I think if you're really genuinely working on yourself, the addictions become more sophisticated. So you go from drug addiction, you'll go to codependency, which is a more sophisticated addiction because it's more closer to the core. So then you'll say, oh, wait, I got to work on myself more. So there is a jump, but then there are people that don't work on themselves at all. They're like, I'm done with drugs, and then they're gambling. But people who genuinely are working on themselves, like they are deeply in 12 steps. They are what we call recovered or recovering, however we say it. Those people it's not about jumping, they're getting more sophisticated. It's becoming about what is love and what is intimacy and what is lust and what is all these deeply troubling questions to someone who is trying to get validation from people. So it kind of peels away the easy addiction. The amount of people I know that are using drugs to cover up how bad they feel about sex addiction is enormous.
Yeah.
It's like a wild thing. And they're calling themselves drug addicts. But really,
So much less shame.
there's so much shame in the sex addiction or the relationship addiction. They can't handle that shame, so they're covering it. So what I'm saying is, like, the answer is yes and no. If you're really working on yourself, it will change, but I just think it's getting more sophisticated. And and you got to do more work to really get into your kitchen, because it's not just about putting down the drug.
Right,
So
and
there's
that's
that.
why it's funny. But in the comfort zone, I get questions a lot, like, how can women be on the same group if, someone's spouse is a sex addict, someone's spouse is an alcoholic doing drugs? And I'm like, because we're not focusing on what they're doing. It's irrelevant. Let's
Right.
get your recovery in order. And B, most addicts do all of it at some point, and it's a cover up for something else. So call it whatever you want. It's not yours. Like, I don't care what you call it.
I really love it. I have a long time ago, and I'm probably wrong, but I've always wanted all the addictions to be together. And I feel, because I think it's a real problem when people are off of drugs or alcohol and think they're better, and we all know they're not better.
Yeah.
They're not better. The addiction became more sophisticated, and they are still being terrible people to the people around them. They're doing things that are like, I have this funny thing because I talk about psychedelics and stuff like that, which I get in trouble for every time. Recovery and psychedelics don't work so well together, believe it or not. But the joke in psychedelics is that everybody is like, thinks they're better. Because psychedelics says you're all right, you're better. So everybody thinks they're evolved and they're better and they're changed. And everybody around them is like, you're not better. You're still being nasty to your wife. You're not better. So I wanted to make an app. You're hearing about a bunch of inventions this time.
Okay, cool.
I want to make an app that sends out a survey to your 10 closest contacts if they think you're getting better.
Ouch.
Just like,
Ouch.
yeah. It's like, let us decide.
Yeah.
You think you're getting better.
That's like, it's going to hurt. I feel it. I have one more question for you. As a codependent.
I love this. We're turning it around.
Yeah, no. As a codependent, do you think you can avoid 12 steps? Because I hear a lot of people, but I go to therapy. Why do I need the rooms? And my opinion is like, no amount of therapy will get to you the way your 12 steps will.
Okay, I'm about to get in trouble. You ready for in trouble?
Yeah.
That's true. And no amount of 12 steps is going to get you the right where therapy would get you. Meaning, I see 12 steps as the greatest tool we have to combat what I call this external self-esteem idea. It is a beautiful recipe of building a self-esteem. And I know that's not how it's described in the 12 steps, but that's how I see it. I mean, the self-esteem has...
Well, what creates addiction is self-esteem issues.
Right.
No self-esteem.
And 12 steps really attacks it so deeply and at its core, but also simply. It doesn't want to go back to your trauma and this, and they're just not interested in that. It's like, this is the problem. I know it's the problem because you're using outside forces to help you. I don't have to explain why and which trauma did it and how it happened. I just have to say, you have a problem, and that problem has taken you over, and this is a solution to that problem. And it is by far the greatest tool of recovery. Now, that being said, there are many people and many reasons why people refuse and will not do the 12 steps, or they will not do the 12 steps well. And I find it very, first of all, untruthful and not helpful to say it's the only way. And because first of all, I've met plenty of people that you could come about the 12 steps in different ways.
Of course.
So there are many people, as a majority of people, look at the 12 steps and like, I'm not in for whatever reason. And most of the time, I would say it's resistance to getting better. But a lot of times it's, I don't resonate with this program. I can't do this program, but I'll try it. I know many, many hundreds of people that have gotten significantly better in their lives that have not done the 12 steps to do that. Would I still say it's a good idea? You probably should do the 12 steps. That's what I insist you do. Yes, I can't imagine their life wouldn't be better if they didn't do the 12, if they did do the 12 steps. But there are other ways to get to the same place as the 12 steps. I actually think therapy is not one of the greatest ways to deal with addiction. I think therapy is a very good add-on for the best ways to deal with addiction. Most ways of dealing with addiction is going to be community-based. Yeah. It's going to be reconnecting with your religion or reconnecting with a purpose. And I think actually therapy has a detrimental effect of keep focusing on the victimhood of your traumas and what it is. And it's not of the best ways to deal with addiction. Right. If you ask me, I'm only going to do one thing. I'm going to go to therapy or I'm going to go to a sheer 3 times a week. I would say go to a sheer 3 times a week. And that sounds crazy. But I would say that because community-based stuff is going to build you more than therapy. Now, I'm going on forever, but I'm saying is that therapy as an add-on to recovery is like
next level.
It's next level.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my answer is that I don't see it. I mean, like a lot of 12-steppers see it kind of almost like a religion. Like you don't do this, you're effed. Like there's no other way to do it.
Right. I don't like taking things into a religion. I also don't like, thinking that it's one thing that's going to save my life, because then what I'm doing is I'm taking my addiction, I'm putting it, the 12 steps is now feeding me, right? It's like, if I do it, I'm going to be good. And the day I'm going to stop doing 12 steps, I'm not going to be good. That's not true.
Right.
And the same is with, it's not true. So I don't like doing that. But I sometimes come across with this idea that I speak to so many women and they're like, I've been 4, 5, 6, 10 years in therapy. Why have my therapist never mentioned a 12-step room for me? And it hurts. It hurts me.
I think that's
it hurts me.
I think that's malpractice in a certain sense. First of all, you should always know all the tools that your clients or patients could use to help themselves. You're not the end all. A good therapist would understand that they may be the hub in the middle of the wheel that could help them find all the other resources. So to say but there are people that are literally anti-12 steps and they wouldn't suggest it. And I understand those people too, because they have decent complaints. I have been working with addiction long enough, and I will say this: if you ask Menachem Poznansky, which is my colleague who runs the living room, I spent a lot of time debating him on the 12 steps. So because I became kind of the person you go to if you've tried and you don't want to.
Right.
Because I was open to other ideas. It's gotten me in a lot of trouble in my career because the recovery community is very, very strong at 12 steps, and I understand that. And I agree. But I would say that the 12 steps have won me over. I'm about as close to saying it's the only way that you can. I just want to work with the people who don't.
Right.
So I run Our Village, and Our Village is a heavily 12-step based program, but there have been people that come through and they're like, I don't want to do the 12 steps. I refuse. And I could say, get the heck out, which most 12-step programs would do, or say, okay, let's work on it in a different way.
Right.
And then I'll say, do you agree that you need fellowship? Yes. Okay, well, if you're not going to a meeting every night, what are you doing every night that's fellowship? What are you doing?
Wow.
And then we'll say, let's figure that out. And like I said, I have this thing that I've gotten, and this is it's not an official program, but I have a thing that they say, find a shear, whether you want Judaism, find a shear, like I said, mentioned it before, that has somewhere between 8 and 12 people in that shear. It's a small shear. And they learn, but it's about hanging out. And it happens on like a couple of times a week. Find that. Don't even go that, because it's built on like we're growing, but you get to know each other. You get to go to schwitz together.
Exactly.
The fellowship is there. So I try to take, the elements of the 12 steps and then say, let's work on those elements.
Right. And it's funny.
In a different way.
2 things. I work with Rabbi Moses Haber, shout out to Makar in Brooklyn.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
We host our Brooklyn events in their space every single month.
He's very close to Rabbi Machlis, who I am
Don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, definitely a shout out to him. I got to get him on the podcast.
Oh, yeah, please do. And so he does for men, Parsha and recovery.
Right.
Basically, it is filling up their spiritual tank, and it's a chevra, and it's fun, and there's dinner, and there's learning, and there's schmoozing, and it fills their insides. Because if you're not going to fill it with that, you're going to fill it with other stuff.
Right. And the beauty of that is also he has people that are 12-steppers that are joining that. They're double, tripling down.
Yeah.
And
so
cool.
What I wanted to say about, coming back, you were talking about this concept of, if you're not going to go to a meeting, let's take the tool of what a meeting does for you and replace it with something that would do the same thing, is that in the comfort zone, we get 2 type of women. Some women have been in program for 5 years in Al-Anon. They never knew that an additional Jewish support exists. And so they come and they're like, I've been alone in Al-Anon for 5 years. I can't believe, there are more Jews, more from people doing this. And so I want to join. And that's one type of woman. And then another type of woman is like, I'm never going to go to a meeting. It's in a church basement. But this I can do. And we take both.
Right.
Because what we do is our program is based off 12 steps. We're going to lead our meetings like 12 steps. We're going to have 12 steps literature. We're going to share the page of the day. We're going to talk recovery. But it's not all or nothing. And so no matter where you're at, we're going to welcome you. Either you've been in recovery and you want that additional support. And literally one of the reasons, why it was created is because I was in Al-Anon and I needed more than just Al-Anon. From Monday to Monday wasn't gonna keep me alive.
Right.
And the other is that if you can't get yourself to recovery, maybe talking to women that do have recovery in their belt would actually influence you. Be like, oh, actually, I want what she has. What is her recipe?
Exactly.
So
I love it. Okay, let me ask you a question for the men's side.
Okay.
I realize I'm a man. And I'm getting it from and I was talking about the codependent more. But from the addict side, lots and lots and lots of complaints from the husbands that the women going to these programs, I'm saying the complaints, I'm not saying they're my complaints.
Sure.
Women going to these programs really start using it to complain about everything and come at them in a very aggressive way. Like they got woken up to how much they hurt and they start now obviously this is not the healthy. I'm just wondering what you think about it. Is that a lot of them are like, oh great, my wife's going to Al-Anon, I'm dead meat, she's coming for me. You know what I'm saying? So some of it's healthy.
I hear that loud and clear.
Some of it is very not healthy. And how
I'm going to say one thing is that for any guy that feels abused by their spouse going to a group, she is mishandling the group. Al-Anon does not teach you to abuse the addict, period. That's not what they teach you. Al-Anon teaches you to detach, not with an axe, with love. You can read the words in the program. Now, some women are super resentful, super angry, super in shock, in betrayal mode, in fight or flight, and they just need a lot of love and help. You blaming them for coming at you is also not helpful.
Right.
So it's not about which side is correct.
Right.
There are programs in place. And just like any program, you could either use it or abuse it.
So what would you say to a husband who is, I love what you said. I'll say that before I continue. The way you said it was really nice. What would you say to a husband that, is doing their own recovery and their wife is going through this experience and this resentment and anger and all this stuff is coming out and she's in a very kind of unhealthy place? Like, how should the husband, if she's in the unhealthy place, well, how should he react? Like, what's the best advice you'd give to him?
Not blame it on Al-Anon. Probably look himself into the mirror and say, what have I contributed
Let's
to her
say it is
anger?
Al-Anon. I don't think you should blame anything on anything, but what would you say? So say not blame it on Al-Anon, even though Al-Anon is the only thing that changed. They're like, wait a minute, why is she abusing me now? She went to Al-Anon.
She didn't go from not abusing to abusing.
Right.
She could have gone from being a martyr to finding her voice.
Right.
And her finding her voice and being honest is not pretty, especially for an addict.
Yes.
It's very hurtful. It could feel controlling. It could feel neglectful. It could feel not cool. It could, like this. I think we spoke about it before of, this idea of you had her wrapped around your thumb, but she is not anymore.
Right.
And so for you, it's a scary place to be.
Yes.
Hold on, she's going to go like her friends instead of liking me. It's really scary, right? But can you make yourself likable? Because she will come back because really, honestly, she wants to love you. But she's only using her friends and program and community until she learns you're safe enough to be loved. And so hang in there. Do your work and butt out. Like literally just do the next step.
Hang in there. The patience thing.
Yeah, but that's what you were talking about, the codependent to independent.
Ugh, you say things very nicely. I'm very
I
impressed.
do? I don't remember what I just said. I'll have to listen to it.
No. It's really like, because just the breaking down of like, even if it was healthy, it's going to hurt like hell.
It will.
And it's going to be a little unhealthy. And
it's
you
gonna take
also put at that
time.
point, she wants to come back to you.
Exactly. But
That's
when you
something
are
special.
in defensive mode, because you have no other tools in your toolbox, it's all against you. It's not. The world is not out there to get you. She would love to go on a date with you, but possibly the last date you went out, you lost your shit at her. Why should she want to? She'll go out with her friends, she'll laugh, she'll cry, she'll stay there till they close the doors of the restaurants. And she'll come home and that will fill her cup for the next 2 weeks, I promise you. Her showing up aligned and free and fun and regulated for your kids and you is because she went out with her friends. So let go of your ego a bit. It's not about you. It's not a competition. And make room for both. Let her go out with your friends and make yourself available to be just and free and fun so that she could become alive through hanging out with you. Not suck everything out of her. So she's like, why should tell me why I should go there?
Right.
It's a lot of work. It's not easy. It's so much work.
I find a lot of comfort from what you're saying, because I think that one line of like, she wants to come back to you is something that people start getting really scared of. Like, oh my God, she's seen I'm a monster and she doesn't want me anymore. And, so that's where it gets really terrifying.
I talk to women so much. Like, that's literally what I do for a living. I talk to women. Every woman that joins the comfort zone. Also, when I say I work for a living, I work for a free living. Let's make it clear. But talking to those women, I talk to women all the time. And insides, they're dying to hang out with their spouses. Their insides are dying to love them and be loved. They're dying to go to bed together. They're dying to have fun. They're dying to go on vacation. They've just gone through so much hell that continuing to betray their self is so much more dangerous than giving up on what they want. So they will put a stop and say, no, actually, I don't want to go to bed. No, actually, I don't want to go on vacation. I don't want to go on a date. I don't want to come with you to the wedding, even though inside they're dying to, because they've not listened to themselves for so long because they've been enmeshed and been living through that. That's how they're trying to start listening to themselves. And so in the beginning, it's really painful, but it's almost like all that trust has to rebuild. It doesn't happen overnight. You know, without pointing fingers, years or months or whatever has been affected by the addiction has been robbed of their life. And so it's not like, hey, I came home from rehab, let's go out for dinner, I'm your best friend. No, you're not my best friend. I just took care of everything for the past 4 months. How are you my best friend?
Right.
I'd love to admit that I'm your best friend, but I don't want to admit that I'm your best friend because then I'll have to go out with you. It's too scary, but inside, of course I'm your best friend. The only reason why I'm still here and taking care of our kids is because I'm your best friend. Otherwise, I'd be long gone. Right? It's most women that find themselves impacted by addiction didn't go into the marriage in this state. Of course, there was subtle something, right? But they've had a time in their life where they were best friends. And so what keeps them through the hell of addiction with a spouse is because they are best friends. Because if they wouldn't have that prior experience of best friends, most likely they'd walk out.
Right. Okay, I got 2 more questions. I don't know what we're up to. Hold on, let's look. Oh my God, it's the one that's going to be the longest podcast ever.
I'll have to sit through it.
You got to sit through the whole thing.
I heard Ellie
Double
saying
speed.
that he doesn't listen to his podcast. So I might just do the same.
Yeah. Well, I have a hard time listening to my podcast. I do like my podcast, but it's hard for me to listen to my own voice. Anyway, we'll get there. Would you say, this may be a leading question, I'm trying to think, because I think I believe it. Would you say that the relationship that you get back after both of you have gone through the healing and kind of found each other again, that coming back, would that be, like, what's that relationship like?
So much better than the beginning. It's
So much better than
deeper.
even like your original.
Oh, 1,000%, because both of you are in a different state. Your communication skills, your vulnerability, your honesty, your transparency, your respect. I mean, there's so many layers that have vanished within recovery. And so it's so much deeper. It's so much more, it's just so much closer if you get to there.
Right.
And a lot of people are like, oh, I'm never going to get there. Time takes time.
Wow.
But it definitely is so much deeper. There's no question. Think about it. They both had open heart surgery. Aren't they in better shape?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I also think that even in a healthy relationship, I have this weird idea that I think that the beginning of a relationship should be some level of codependency is healthy. It's the enmeshment. I call it the childhood of a relationship, which is like, no, you hang up. No, you hang up. It's like that lovely. I don't think that in itself is unhealthy. Like, that's the babyhood. You should see that inside your relationship is this wonder and excitement like babies have, you know. Now, if it doesn't move to the next stage, you're in trouble. And a lot of people, when it moves to the next stage, goes, where did it go? Where's my passion? And this.
Well, usually what moves to the next state is called kids.
Well,
And stress.
kids and stress. Yeah. And then a lot of people go, I fell out of love. Like, you didn't fall out of love. It's the next stage, which is the adulthood of love. And I'm sitting here going, I went through a 2-hour podcast and I barely mentioned how much I love my wife. So I'm just going to add that in there.
Please do
No,
that.
because I will say in my relationship, my wife, it's, you know, we went through all this stuff. It's not, I would say that I don't consider myself a full-blown codependent, and my wife is definitely not an addict, but it is my personality to try to stay in that enmeshment zone, and leaving it was both difficult and wondrous. Like, absolutely, like, we get to be children within our adulthood is like, it's fantastic. And I want to tell people, like, hang in there through that drop. There's like that drop. So in this recovery space, and I know you're talking about kind of the extreme examples of codependency, and that's like a very extreme example, but I do believe that everybody listening to this podcast is going to go through this on a very lower level. Meaning, even if you're not an addict, you don't have to end up in a group and you don't have to deal with that stuff. I do believe this is happening in every relationship on some level. There's this level where I got to make you happy, and you're coming home and, or newly married, you're like, it's almost like codependent, but it's a healthy codependence. And when it ends, it's hard, and then you come back together.
If you get dinner again, you're like, wow, what did I do to get dinner?
And my wife packed me lunch. Like, I think it was the first time in like 10 years. Gelly, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. But like, holy cow, that was like, that was awesome. Right? I didn't even know. No, because that's not our relationship, but she did it. I was like, oh my gosh, this was amazing. And I do believe the coming back together part, which is, I think, the third part of a deeper relationship. What I'm saying is that what you're saying relates to regular marriages also. That's
right, which was why I asked about like this victimhood of addiction. And it's not to tell anyone that life's perfect, because a perfect life is a dead marriage. Like, it's not, there's no nothing is perfect. There are ups, there are downs, there are bad days, there are stressful days. We just went through, a month of Yom Tovim with 2 work days in the middle. And I'm like, I don't know, we own our own businesses. We were supposed to work? What? Right?
Yeah.
It's hard. It's tough. You're going to get into issues alongside that are going to be like, oh, these are the behaviors that we tried knocking out. And you're going to revisit them. But, a coach that I worked with, Moshe Hanin from Crown Heights, shout out to him.
Shout out.
Awesome
I've had him on the pod.
Oh yeah, he's unbelievable. He always says it's like a lighthouse. So you're back to square one, but you're level up.
Right.
So sometimes you're like, oh, we just dealt with this, right? Like the same reactions and the same avoidance and the same not accountability. But it's not true. It's not the same. It's, yes, those are triggering all your responses of all the years of avoidance or all the years of whatever. But it's, if there's time involved and people are committed to their recovery, and again, it could look different. For someone, it could be continuing therapy. For someone, it could be outpatient. For someone, it could be sponsorship, a fellowship, Rabbi Hebers. Again, it doesn't matter what it is. You're growing without even knowing.
You're leveling up.
Exactly.
Okay. Rooftop question. You finished my pod, so you don't have to explain it to you.
Oh, okay.
You're standing on top of a roof, yelling something to the world. What are you yelling to the world?
Don't do it alone.
Don't do it alone. Love it.
Yeah, it's. You know what I always say? Like, if you do things alone, you're gonna die alone, and I mean it. Like, die in pain, and die after 120, and nobody will come. Like. You gotta build your community, and if you don't have it or you don't fit into anything, just make it. And it's not even especially for people in addiction and recovery, but even if you're not, right? Start going to the library, find an art class, go learn to play something, go to basketball team, create your people, because the people that believe in you and the people that know you and can carry your secrets with you are just the greatest humans.
They're going to give you all the strength.
Yeah, they're going to hold you when you can't hold yourself. Really.
Well, definitely a message I love. I will tell you the interesting thing is that I talk about community. That's all I talk about, love and community and all that stuff. And it is my hardest. Like, all I want to do is stay home with my wife, and I have no interest in going anywhere ever, like going to shul, I don't want to do any of those things. Like I am happy with my book. I'm happy.
You know what? It's really, it's hard for someone that is an introvert and likes their bed and their books and stays alone. It's really hard. And sometimes I hear it from women because I'm like, come to the in-person event, come. And they're like, no, I'm finally like home from work, undressed. I don't want to get dressed, whatever. And after they come, they never regret it. They will, after every event, every location, we will get texts saying, this gave me energy for the next week. And this carried me for the next court case. And it's literally knowing that you wake up and you go to sleep and there are 150 Jewish women that if you say Ra at 3 a.m., you will get a response of like, I've got you. That's all you got to say. You got to do 0. Or if you text like, do you have 8 minutes? There'll be like bajillion people say, call me, call me, call me, call me, call me. I mean, what else do you need? You're literally set for life.
It's pretty amazing. No, it's funny because my friend Ali Arentov had on, and he works for me, and like part of his job, it's unofficial, is that he makes me go to all the things. Like I don't, and every time he's like, you'll enjoy it. It'll be fine. You'll be good afterwards. And he's right. Like I don't want to ever go, but I do gain a lot from all of that.
It is work, and you know, it's so much work, and really like sometimes when you're the provider and you're setting it up, by the time you arrive to the event, you're wiped out. Like by me arriving to the event, it's not like, oh hi everyone. It's like I already put in 5 hours into this event, you know?
Right.
Like, I want to go now home, get into pajamas while you guys all go to the event. But I always take this, you know, like these words that come from Al-Anon, which is like, God puts everyone in a room that has to be, and there's going to be something in that room that someone says that you're going to need to take home and put into your life. And so there are no mistakes. And so as I keep showing up and I keep believing that I'm meant to be exactly where I am, I don't need to think about the rest. I don't have to have it figured out. I don't have to have a perfect plan. I just got to take the next step. And so I do that with my recovery life. I do that with my children's life. I do that with running the comfort zone. Like I always say, running the comfort zone, we run it on recovery. That means that if something doesn't feel good, we cancel it. We don't do it.
Wow.
And if something's interfering with my personal life, I've made a commitment that my personal life will always come first. And so we're not doing that either. And so, you know, last year, no one knows this, but now for anyone that listens from the comfort zone will know that we had just finished doing a retreat. It was right before Purim, I don't remember. And we wanted to send out the Purim gift boxes. And I don't remember what it was, but it felt so overwhelming. And usually with our gift boxes comes newsletters, which is 1,000,000 hours of editing, getting everyone's articles. And we basically give a voice for the women in the community to write in anonymously, either their strength, their hope, their pain, whatever it is. And we publish it. We get a therapist to write, a rabbi, you know, do all the work. And it's bajillion hours of work and editing. And it just felt so overwhelming. And I'm like, I just did this retreat, 1,000,000 hours. It was perfection. It was gorgeous. It was, people didn't want to go home. They literally cried after the retreat. Like, I'm not going home. This is safe. This is loving. This is caring. I'm in a bubble. Why? Tell me why, you know?
Right.
And it felt like too much. And I reached out to my partner, Michal, and I'm like, Michal, we're not doing Purim boxes. I don't know what we're doing, but I'm like stressing out. And I know my goal in life is free and fun. Like that's the new me. Stress is not my friend.
Right.
You know? And she's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, I'm telling you what I mean. We're not doing Purim boxes. We're going to bump it to Pesach. I don't know what we're doing for Pesach, but we're going to bump it. Like I need a 4-week extension.
Right.
Okay, cool. And always have that conversation. I put down my phone. I go to the gas station to get gas. Sorry, I'm screwing up my own story. I have that conversation. Fine, we don't send Purim boxes. Purim passes. I still remember I go to Trader Joe's. I'm sitting in Trader Joe's parking lot. I'm like, what are we doing for Pesach? What are we doing for Pesach? What are we doing? Like, what's meaningful? What's nice? What's affordable? Like, we need to have money to do what we do. And I'm like, God, I don't know what we're doing, but like, I know it's coming through you. So just Just let me know. Like, we're going to take this. I go to get gas, and as I'm getting gas, I get a WhatsApp message from a beautiful, kind soul. And she's like, hey, Estee, I love what you do. Please let me know how many women you have in your community, and I'd like to send $50 cards for every woman. And I'm like, holy moly. I'm like, lady, I have 60 women. Like, then we had 60 per, and we had 60 sukkahs. We have 130. You can see the difference. And we sent out every woman a card, handwritten, because we're crazy, with a gift card for Pesach. And I didn't have to know what I was doing. I didn't have to have the solution to all my problems. And that is also recovery. You know, when you ask, what should men do? What should women do, right? Can you survive, and not only survive, can you live and thrive today without having a solution to all your problems? Can you live? Can you look yourself? Can you look at the problem and see like, whoa, it's big? And also, I don't know what to do about it. But that's why step 2 and 3 come through. Because you don't have to be able to solve all your issues. There's something greater than yourself, like a story to sanity.
Okay. I want to say I'm incredibly inspired by the work you're doing. It's really cool. And I'm really glad I reached back out to you because I almost missed out on having this conversation, which is really great. No, it is. Nobody told you you have to do this. It's like I didn't write it yet on my podcast, but it's like great conversations with great people. That's what I want to call it. Like it's not looking for like who's the celebrity or whatever. I want to talk to the great people, and I feel like you're one of the great people who could have stayed in your own little zone and decided to make a comfort zone for other people, and it's beautiful. And I found a tremendous amount of inspiration for myself. I'm constantly talking about how much I'm burning out, and it is, it really helps me to have these conversations. And I want to say that a lot of what you talked about and what we talked about, I think will resonate with every single person, and it doesn't even have to be addiction. I think a lot of this stuff we're going through constantly in our lives, and thank you. Thank you for coming.
I appreciate really having me and giving a voice to women impacted by someone else's addiction, let's call it, even though they might be holding another addiction, because sometimes they really, not sometimes, always, they are non-existing. And so other people giving a voice for them is so refreshing and so validating for them. And they will literally send me anytime there's something finally in the newspapers or a podcast, oh my gosh, they spoke about it, right? And so it really it reminds them that they're not forgotten. Even if we're also, giving them a pep talk in the middle.
Well, if we accomplish that today, I'm going to be very happy because like we said, it's a little bit of an invisible illness that is everybody's missing it. Yeah. There's a lot of people struggling, and it's beautiful what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for this day that I've been given. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for this chance. Thank you for this chance to live anew.